Hello and welcome to the Final Exam Overview video tutorial presented by the Department of Academic Services. Today we will be going through a variety of policies, regulations, and protocols regarding final exams at the University of Guelph-Humber. Our main goal and objective is to conduct a positive and consistent exam environment while maintaining a high standard of academic integrity for both instructors and students. Please review the final exam schedule available on the University of Guelph-Humber website to ensure there are no issues with the date, time, and location of your scheduled exam. At the end of this presentation, should you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact the Scheduling and Records Coordinator, Antonello Anisi, or your Faculty Support Officer. It is important to also note that throughout the presentation, we will be referencing a number of forms. At any time, should you wish to view these forms in detail, you can contact your Faculty Support Officer, who will be happy to provide a copy for your review. Final Exam Request. The first form that you should be made aware of is the Final Exam Request form. Around the first few weeks of the semester, your Faculty Support Officer should have sent you this form. The information outlined on the first page goes into detail as to what is required on your end and what is involved in the final exam process. It is very important that you review all information on this page. The second page, which is the actual request form, must be completed regardless if you have an exam or not. If you do not have a final exam, we ask that you please indicate an NA in the appropriate locations on the form. This information will be entered into a scheduling software that is used to create the final exam schedule. It is imperative to fill out as much information as possible on this form, especially days that conflict with the final exam period. Knowing this information will allow the software used to block off the days that an instructor is not available to administer an exam. Timely submission of final exams and photocopying. We ask that you email your final exam to your Faculty Support Officer at least 1 week in advance of your exam, if you require photocopying. Faculty are required to submit a print request form to their Faculty Support Officer. The Faculty Support Officers do try their best to accommodate all faculty requests for printing. However, there is no guarantee that late printing requests will be completed due to timing constraints. Please refer to the Final Exam Printing Request form for specific requirements regarding requests for exam printing. Some instructors prefer to photocopy their own exams. This is acceptable as long as you let your Faculty Support Officer know so that they can provide you with the mandatory cover sheet that must be stapled to the front of each exam and must not be removed. These cover sheets, also known as the Final Exam Attendance Form, are important to have because we ask students to sign it before writing their exam as proof of their attendance. The Final Exam Attendance Form acts as a contract between the student and the university. By signing the form, each student is acknowledging that they have read and are aware of the university's policies and procedures regarding final exams. Your Faculty Support Officer will provide this form to you attached to your printed exams. It is also important to note that all final exams and alternate versions must be emailed at the same time to your Faculty Support Officer to keep on file for deferred exams and for students who require accommodated testing through accessible learning services. To maintain the integrity of the exam, we issue alternate versions for students who have exam conflicts or are writing a deferred exam. Exam package. Your Faculty Support Officer will provide you with an exam package that includes all the necessary materials with your exams. This package includes a final exam note, exam marshal instructions, as well as an attendance sign-in sheet and contact information sheet. The final exam note is an important note from your Faculty Support Officer. Be sure to read all contents before taking your printed exams. The exam marshal instructions must be read at the beginning of your exam. This can be read by either the instructor or the exam marshal if present. The attendance sign-in sheet is very important and must be signed by each student who writes his or her exam. In addition to the attendance form that is stapled to the final exam, this sheet acts as an extra confirmation that the student was in attendance for their final exam. The contact information sheet is an important resource to keep on hand. It has the contact information for Antonello Anisi and the 2 exam lead marshals. In the event that you are running late for your exam, we ask instructors to notify these individuals immediately. The faculty support officers will leave your prepared exams with all additional material, including pencils and exam booklets, locked in your office. Please leave all materials in your office. It is extremely important that you do not take your exams with you before the day of your exam. In the event that you are not present for your exam, we will be able to gain access to the exam material to administer the exam on your behalf or until you arrive. Contact information for the faculty support officers as well as the academic advisors are also on this sheet. A copy of this contact information sheet will be provided to you with your printed exams by your faculty support officer. Accessible learning services. At the beginning of the semester, you will receive an accommodation letter for any student registered with Accessible Learning Services, also known as ALS. This letter outlines the student's approved accommodations. It is the responsibility of the student to book their exam at least 2 weeks in advance by providing their faculty support officer with the test exam notification form in person. If you receive this form instead, please pass it on to your faculty support officer right away. Unless you or your faculty support officer have received a test exam notification form from a student, your faculty support officer should not deliver tests to testing services. The faculty support officer uses a tracking system for dropping off and picking up exams. Please do not do this yourself to avoid any confusion. If you do pick up an exam yourself, please inform your faculty support officer right away. Test exam notification and exam booking guidelines. The test exam notification form can be found on the faculty support officer's desk or online on the Humber College website. Each test exam notification form will accompany exam booking guidelines. This sheet provides specific guidelines to students to help them book their exams according to their specified accommodations and the testing services hours of operation. Once the student has booked their exam, your faculty support officer will email you the details of the student's booking information. It is your responsibility to review this information and match the accommodations listed in this email with the accommodations listed on the accommodation letter. Please send a confirmation email to your faculty support officer to let them know that you have received the booking information and that it accurately corresponds with the contents of the accommodation letter. Exam period. There are 4 exam time slots: 8 a.m., 11:40 a.m., 3:20 p.m., and 7 p.m. Instructors must arrive at least 30 minutes prior to the start of their scheduled exam time in order to properly prepare for the administration of their exam. Invigilators are assigned per every 50 students enrolled in a course. Depending on your class size and the exam location, more than one invigilator may be provided. Exams will either be located within the University of Guelph-Humber building, Humber Gym, or at an off-site location. Shuttle service will be provided for all off-site exams. More information regarding off-site exams will be sent to all instructors via email from your faculty support officer. Final exams are not to exceed 2 hours in length. This is the standard length of all final exams. There is a 2-day grace period between the last day of class and the first day of the exam period. Instructors cannot make anything mandatory for students to attend during this time. Voluntary sessions, such as an exam prep, are permitted. Please contact the appropriate academic advisor for further guidance regarding this university policy. The exam day. When students arrive to write their exam, they should leave all material at the front of the class and have their photo IDs present in front of them on the table. You, the instructor or the invigilator, can then walk around with the attendance sign-in sheet, verifying photo IDs before the student signs the form. Any government-issued ID is acceptable. In the event that a student does not have an ID, you may vouch for the student to verify their identity. In the event that you cannot vouch for the student, allow the student to finish the exam and make note that the student did not have their ID. Ensure the student signs the note, and upon completion of the exam, the student must provide a photo ID before the exam can be graded. Students are to write their first name, last name, and student number on all answer sheets and booklets that accompany the exam. In the event that these materials get misplaced, we will be able to locate them quickly. Students will not be allowed to leave the examination within the first hour and the last 15 minutes. This is to limit the point of contact between students arriving to write their exam and those who may be leaving within the first hour. By not allowing anyone to leave within the first hour, we eliminate any opportunities for academic misconduct. The last 15 minutes is to allow students to finish writing their exam with minimal interruption. At the 60-minute mark, you can make an announcement that if anyone is finished, they are free to leave at that point. Ask students to raise their hand, and either you or the invigilator can collect the completed exam from them at their desk. During the exam, if students have any questions, comments, or concerns about the exam content, they can simply raise their hand quietly and you can attend to their question at their desk. Please also collect all exam material at the end of the examination from the student. This includes any scrap paper that was used during the exam. It is imperative that students do not leave the examination room with any exam material. Washroom protocols are left up to the instructor. Students should be encouraged to use the washroom before the exam begins, but if you do have a student who needs to use the washroom during the exam, you can utilize your invigilator to accompany the student to the washroom. If you are not granted an invigilator for your exam, it is up to you as the instructor to decide on the best way to handle this. You may wish to make an announcement 5 minutes prior to the students entering the classroom to allow them the chance to use the washroom at that time. We also ask that you do not allow students to enter the examination room before the exam begins. We ask that you use this time to prepare the room in advance prior to the students arriving. All exam papers should be on the desk face down. Most exam locations are set up to allow for extra space in between students. You can usually start to allow students in the room 5 minutes prior to the start of your exam, depending on your class size. Before the administration of your final exam, it is important that as the instructor you familiarize yourself with the university's policies and procedures around academic misconduct. Academic misconduct. During the exam, keep an eye out for any evidence of cheating. Some things to look out for include electronic devices such as cell phones, calculators, and smartwatches, talking amongst peers, students looking at their peers' papers, cheat sheets within calculators, water bottle labels, Paul caps, and pen ink on hands, wrists, and arms. If ball caps are on the desk, upon walking around the room, instructors can ensure there are no papers inside. It is important to note that even if you think a student is cheating, it's always suspected until it is proven that they were in fact cheating. Students are permitted to complete the exam once the item has immediately been confiscated. The responsibility for preventing and detecting academic misconduct in an examination lies with the instructor and/or the invigilators. When a student is found to be cheating by the faculty member, TA, or assigned invigilator, the student name, student number, course code, and instructor name should be recorded on an examination information form, which will be provided to you by the exam marshal on the day of your examination. If at any time during the exam you suspect a student of cheating, you will be asked to complete an academic misconduct form. In the event of a possible academic misconduct case, we ask that you fill out your information, the student's information, and a report of the incident, attaching any supporting documentation. Another policy that you should be aware of before administering your final exam is the exam disruption and rescheduling policy. In regards to final exams, if a disruption occurs prior to the exam start time, there is a 30-minute window where we can recommence the exam. For example, if the exam starts at 8 a.m. and a fire alarm disruption occurs at 7:45 a.m., since the students were not in the room and were not able to view the exam, at 8:15 a.m. the students will be allowed back into the exam room. This is because the occurrence of the exam disruption did not cause the students to start writing their exam past the 30-minute mark. However, if the fire alarm disruption occurred at 7:45 a.m. and the students were not able to get back into the building until 9 a.m., unfortunately, that exam would need to be rescheduled. For further clarification on this policy, please contact the Scheduling Records Coordinator, Antonello Anisi. At the end of your exam, it is important to remember to leave all of your exam materials securely locked away in your office. Please do not leave anything on the faculty support officer's desk. If you have answer sheets that need to be scanned, please leave these in your office. It is a good idea to also send an email to your faculty support officer letting them know that they need to be scanned for results. Leaving material on the faculty support officer's desk presents the opportunity for the exam to be compromised. Therefore, we strictly prohibit this. Missed final exam process. There will be times when an instructor may encounter a student who has missed their final exam and is requesting to write a makeup. It is important for you to know that unlike midterm exams, it is not at the discretion of the instructor to allow a student to write a makeup final exam. The student must apply for academic consideration through their academic advisor in the registrar's office in GH 108. Students may miss their exam for valid reasons, including a sickness or death in the family, of which they would need to provide documentation as proof of their reason for absence. Valid reasons do not include planned vacations, as students are well aware that these preparations should not be made around the final exam period. If a student has been approved for a deferred exam, he or she will write during the deferred exam period specified by the Office of Registrar. The alternate exam version submitted to your faculty support officer will be used at this time. Grade submission. Upon submitting your final grades, it is highly recommended for you to use the Final Grades download tool from your course website. Please only use the formatted text file that is produced from this tool to submit grades. The Final Grades download tool will calculate the final grade for you as long as you have been utilizing the gradebook throughout the semester to enter in all other assignment, test, and quiz grades. All that will be required of you is to click on the Final Grades download tool link in your course website and save the document on your desktop or preferred folder. You can then attach the document in an email and send it to 123grades@guelphumber.ca, CCing your respective program head on the email. Detailed instructions on how to submit your final grades can be found in the final grade submission document. Your faculty support officer will email this document to you. We also ask that you do not release any final grades to students. Students will be able to see their final grades on WebAdvisor 1 week after the final exam period. Therefore, to avoid any discrepancies with incorrectly inputted grades, please do not release final grades prior to this date. You can simply hide your final grades on the course website to avoid students from seeing them. To do this, click on the Grades link from your course homepage. In the toolbar, select Manage Grades. Click on the item that you wish to hide. Click on the Restrictions tab. In the Visibility options, select Hide this grade item and click Save and Close. Your grades for that particular item will no longer be visible to your students. For further assistance, you can go to the My homepage and refer to the technical support number. Other important forms. The grade reassessment form should be used if an instructor wishes to submit a revision to an originally submitted final grade. If a student makes an appeal for a final grade and the student wins the appeal or is granted a deferred exam, the instructor will be required to fill out the grade reassessment form for that student. The completed grade reassessment form should be signed by the instructor and program head before returning it to the appropriate academic advisor. Instructor recommendation form. This form should be completed only for students who have missed a final exam or are required final assignment. For these students, an INC or incomplete should be indicated for the specific student when submitting grades. The completed instructor recommendation form should then be submitted to the appropriate academic advisor. This form will serve as a reference point for the academic review committee in the event that the student makes a request for academic consideration on compassionate, medical, or psychological grounds. In the absence of a request, the grades will be entered for the student on your behalf by the student's academic advisor. Final exam conflicts. As an instructor, it is important for you to be familiar with the process for final exam conflicts. The following constitutes an exam conflict: 2 exams scheduled at the same time, 3 exams within a calendar day, or an exam scheduled on an observed religious holiday. Once a student submits their final exam conflict form, the scheduling office will reschedule one of the exams in conflict during the final exam period. Notification will be sent to the instructor via email if any of your students have an exam conflict, at which time you will be encouraged to provide an alternate version of the exam for the student to complete to your faculty support officer. Storage. After your exams have been graded, all hard copy final exams must be submitted to your faculty support officer for storage. Final exams are stored in a secure location for 1 year. After the 1-year period, all final exams are securely shredded. If at any time you require access to the student exams, you can email your faculty support officer who will gladly provide them to you. Completed final exams or final assignments should be made available to a student should they request to review them. Written or emailed requests should be submitted to the instructor and/or program head by the 5th class day of the following semester. Instructors are encouraged to discuss openly with the student any raised questions. If the instructor is not readily available to review the exam, the program head will make the necessary arrangements for the students to access the material. It is important to note that faculty support officers are not permitted to review an exam with a student. This concludes our presentation. If you have questions or concerns about any content in this presentation, please contact your faculty support officer or send us an email at academicservices@guelphumber.ca. Thank you.